Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Co-op Podcast, episode 179. I'm your host, Richard Bailey Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
Hey, what's good, man? How you doing, Rich?
Doing excellent. Trying to recover from all these games that I'm playing.
Yeah, I know how you feel, man.
Yeah, well, we are going to get into that. We're also joined by Mr. Jake James Lugo. How's it going, Mr. Lugo?
I'm doing all right, Rich. A lot to kind of cover, get into. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happened even today, so I'm excited.
Absolutely. And we're also joined by Mr. Max Muller. How's it going, Max?
It's going pretty good. Happy to be back as always.
Yes, happy to have you back as well. So there are a couple of topics that we do want to discuss about news that has happened this week. But before we get into that, obviously we need to talk about what we have been playing because everybody here has been playing a lot of games. So Max, how about you go first and let us know what you've been playing?
All right. Well, I've obviously been playing Gears of War 4. Actually, was able to beat the campaign in a few days, which was awesome. Big fan of it. The ending was kind of abrupt, and that kind of threw me off. But other than that, I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to start the Horde and multiplayer. I got back into Overwatch for a little bit to play the wave-based robot mode and trying to get the achievements for that, but I only got to play about an hour of that. I went back and started Alien Isolation with some buddies. We had a group of like 6 of us, and we were playing it in a really dark room, and that was absolutely terrifying. And we actually got fairly far into it, and now I'm wanting to beat it because I never ended up beating that damn game because it gives me bad anxiety. And then I went back and played some of the DMC Definitive Edition too. For some reason, I was getting the itch to play one of those sorts of action games, so I played a little bit of that. And then, like usual, I'm playing Rocket League still. I have a buddy who just got it on Xbox, so me and him have been trying to rank up in the doubles. But overall, a very busy week when it came to games, and one of the most game-filled weeks I've had in a long time, and it was great.
It sounds awesome. I just want to give you a warning about Alien Isolation. A lot of people have said that game is long as hell, so I'm just giving you a warning now. It's going to probably take a while to get through that.
Oh my God, I'm looking at the achievements, and I just finished like mission 10, and it's like, oh, finish the 16th mission and the 17th mission. I'm like, holy shit, I'm 10 hours into this. How is it still going? And it still has me hooked. That's the thing. Like, it's not getting old at all or anything, which is cool. But no, it's a great time.
Oh yeah, no, definitely worth checking out. And we will discuss Gears a little bit later. I know for those that, if they don't know, I actually was on a spoiler cast the other day talking about the Gears of War 4 storyline because I also did not like the way it ended. But yeah, we'll have to discuss that a little bit more later because there's a couple things we brought up in that spoiler cast. Shout out to Mr. Polanco and Weapon X. There was a lot of things we discussed in that spoiler cast that were very interesting about the direction of the next game. So we'll definitely talk more about that later on, though. But sounds good. What you've been playing so far, that sounds great. How about you go next, Mr. Lugo, and let us know what you've been playing.
I've been playing a lot. I mean, I just put up a review not too long ago on the Koalition.com that you guys could find for Mantis Burn Racing. It was a game, I think, also at one point on PC, on Steam, but it also came to the PlayStation 4. It reminds me of Micro Machines, for all extensive purposes. Just it's small cars driving around a racetrack, which sounds fun. It sounds basic if you like racing games, but it doesn't have a lot of pull. And a lot of the big issues that I had was with the online play. The online component to it is just very barren. There isn't a lot of people playing it on there. For races that could have up to 8 people at a time, I was only at the maximum getting maybe at the most 3 players, if not 4. Like, that includes me. So not many people are playing that game online. But overall, the racing's pretty good. I also am doing a review very soon for Duke Nukem 3D World Tour. I'm hoping to try to see if I can get that up tomorrow or the day after. But it's basically Duke Nukem 3D with a couple little, I guess you could say, bonus stuff. But off-the-cuff impressions without getting into the review detailing. But I think that the game just doesn't really hold up now. I think that it's aged kind of poorly, in my opinion. But I'll get into more detail and more specifics about that when the review goes live. besides that, I've been playing WWE 2K17. I'm involved with a very big project with that now. I've been playing that over the last, I want to say, about 2 or 3 days, give or take or so. And I've been going through my career dealing with the creative superstar stuff and the WWE Universe things, which I guess from what I've been hearing, have been somewhat of a replacement for, like, I guess you could say the manager mode, or like the career mode from the last game from 2K16. But again, I don't really have a lot of context for that, but I've been playing a lot of that game specifically. And then finally, the big one that a lot of people probably experienced, I believe it was on Friday or Thursday night late, was the Infinite Warfare beta for Call of Duty. Now, I'm going to talk about more of that stuff in an upcoming write-up that I'm doing probably tomorrow about Infinite Warfare specifically, but I've played a lot of the game where I get commented on now. There's been some new content that's been posted up as of yesterday morning where they added a whole new game mode to the beta. They added a new map, which is interesting. But the biggest problems that came down with the Infinite Warfare beta was that it didn't start on time. It was actually about 4 or 5 hours afterwards, when they initially planned to start the beta, that people were actually able to get into a matchup and stuff. Like, there was a lot of problems where I was trying to stream on Twitch and I couldn't get into a lobby. At one point, like, the beta wouldn't even start. Then, like, later on, after like a few hours, people were reporting, and myself included, where we were getting stuck in the matchmaking menu, where we would go into like a specific game type, like a team deathmatch or domination and such, and we would just not get into a game. We'd be endlessly stuck in the matchmaking, and it just wasn't finding other players. And it got to a point where people were getting matched up with players, like there would be full games and stuff, but the matches were not starting. It was a complete disaster at one point. And it kind of sucks because a lot of people were waiting on it. Us, as in the media and the press, we were actually supposed to get access to it on Thursday at some point, and just nothing happened. We didn't get any sort of emails and stuff like that. It just was all over the place for the most part. And at some point, once the beta started to get rolling and people were actually playing the game, it was pretty all right. My impressions of it is that it's more Call of Duty, but it has more of like an Unreal Tournament type of feel, or a Quake type of feel, because things are still just as fast like in any other Call of Duty. But now, because you have like these jetpacks, you're able to kind of like parkour or sprint along the walls. It reminds me of a lot of those like faster first-person shooters that are more traditional PC style for FPSs, like Quake, like Unreal Tournament, just mixed in with Call of Duty mechanics. One of the things I did feel that was cool was that in one of the maps, you actually are fighting in like space, I guess, and there's like low gravity. So when you kill different people and you score frags, their bodies start to float up in the air, and they kind of just linger there for a long period of time. So as you're moving around, sometimes you'll mistake, different players that are running around for the dead bodies because of everything, like, being in low gravity, which I thought was neat. It was a nice little attention to detail for people that are playing in multiplayer.
That seems like a nice touch.
I like it. I thought it was cool. Like, it was something different for the series. Now, don't get me wrong. This is straight up Call of Duty. Like, if you love Call of Duty, that you're getting more of the same. If you didn't like Call of Duty, again, you're getting more of the same, and there's not going to be much difference for you. What I'm curious to see is if the single-player campaign, the just single-player content, is really the pull of this Call of Duty, because we all know Call of Duty has, like, pretty decently good campaigns for the most part. Some people say, like, the last few weren't all that great, but from what we've seen in the trailers of this one, ever since E3, I'm actually liking what I'm seeing, and it's got me really intrigued about it.
Yeah, so I just like to make a quick comment. I thought that the Advanced Warfare campaign was pretty good. That was probably the last good one that I enjoyed. This one does look intriguing. I really, when I got to see the game at the Call of Duty XP event back in September, we didn't really see a lot of the single-player campaign. It was mainly focused on multiplayer. One thing that I did notice is that a lot of people who did see the multiplayer, it wasn't really big fans of that. The main reason that they were at that event, they were very, very interested in Modern Warfare Remastered, in that multiplayer, more than what they were showing at the actual event. Now, I'm pretty sure, of course, a lot of that is going to change as we get deeper into, closer to the game's release. So, I mean, people are still going to pick it up either way. I'm looking forward to playing it as well, because I want to check out the single player. The multiplayer is okay, but I probably still need to see more to really see what's different about it. But it's very reminiscent of Black Ops 3, the way that they handled that multiplayer, because it's still the futuristic setting. So I still need to see more from it. But so far, definitely am planning to check it out at the very least and see what they do with it. But look forward to hearing more about the your beta impressions. I may be getting into that beta as well, so I may have some more to say about that also later this week. So it sounds good. So how about you, Gary? What have you been playing?
Okay, well, to start off with, I actually did get into that beta, but I didn't get to try it yet because well, two reasons really. Number one, I'm already overwhelmed with stuff to play. And secondly, like the download is like 18 gigs or something like that, something crazy. And
It's about 19 and change total because of updates.
yeah, that's too crazy. Like I tried to download it overnight one night, but like for some reason my PlayStation just turned off and stopped downloading it. And then the next day, I was working at home, so I needed like my internet to be stable. I couldn't have it dipping in speed and bandwidth and stuff, so I couldn't download it that whole day. And then then I eventually, thanks to Rich, I eventually got another game that I'm reviewing now. So yeah, it wasn't gonna happen. So yeah, I haven't actually tried the Infinite Warfare beta yet, but hopefully I'll get a chance to. But we'll see. For what I actually have been playing, of course, Overwatch, and I do have some stuff to say about that. Now, this is like the game that keeps on giving to me, like because they're always, they at the moment they've got the Halloween seasonal update, and of course in the summer they had the summer games update and stuff. But I'm enjoying the Halloween one a hell of a lot more, and I find that the new items they've added that you can unlock are really, really cool. There's this one skin I really want for Mercy. It's a witch theme, basically. I've managed to get like and that's the annoying thing about Overwatch, because the unlocks are all randomized. So every time you level up, you get a loot box, and then you have to open the loot box, and it gives you 4 items, but you can't choose the items. It's all randomized. And I've got like most of the other outfits and stuff, the skins that they've added for the other characters, but I've never gotten Mercy's yet. So that's the annoying thing, because that's the one I really want. But also they added basically a horde mode, which is what Max was referring to earlier. So like you basically fight waves of robots, and they're trying to get into the castle. They're trying to break down the door for the castle and get inside. So it's a lot like Gears when you have that horde mode and you have to basically hold off the enemies and stuff. And they have 3 different difficulty modes. And that's why I say this is the game that keeps giving, because it's not just PvP anymore. Now you have a PvE mode. Even if it's only tied to the seasonal update, it's just great to know that they can add these things on the fly and mix things up. So there's always something new going on in the game. And as it is anyway, even without the seasonal updates, they add new brawls every week. So there's always, something new every week going on with the game, which is really cool. So yeah, still loving Overwatch at the moment. I'm loving that horde mode. I feel like I don't need Gears anymore because I got that. So no, I'm joking. I'll still get Gears. See, the problem with Gears, which is, I'm going to get into this later because we have a topic that kind of relates to it, but you can only, like, because I'm on PC and I want to get it for PC, you have to get it through the Microsoft Store, and they're overcharging for it right now. I'm not used to paying that price for like a PC game. So that's the annoying thing about Gears. Otherwise, I probably would have bought it already. But, because there's so many other games out and I have to decide what I'm actually going to buy, that's basically the main reason why I haven't got Gears at the moment. But I'm looking forward to Gears, definitely. So the other game that I've really been playing is a game that isn't actually out yet. It's out in about 2 weeks from now, or a week from now, from the time that this will be released. And it's World of Final Fantasy. And I can't talk about it because I'm under embargo, but definitely look out for the review next week. All I'll say is don't sleep on this game. Like, this is a very, very solid game. Like, I don't want people to sleep on it just because the graphics look a bit childish. It's a really solid game, especially if like you're a traditional Final Fantasy fan. You're gonna love this game. Trust me. Just trust me on that. So yeah, that's all I can really say about the game so far. But definitely look out for my review next week. and that's about it. Oh yeah, I played some Deus Ex, but I didn't really play a lot just because I've got all these other games now. Because last week I had the Xenoverse beta, and I think the Xenoverse beta is back on now as well for everybody. So I need to see what people are saying about that, because I know everybody's got access to it now. But yeah, that's it really. Just those 3 games.
Sounds good. I'm gonna make 2 quick comments before I talk about my picks.
Mhm.
So I just like to give a disclaimer to everybody. Gary. Gary is a diehard Final Fantasy fan, so you don't have to believe everything he said about World of Final Fantasy, because he's a diehard fan. This is the guy that buys the multiple versions of the same game on different platforms. So just keep that in mind, even though you
Okay.
heard that.
That's very true. So yeah, you do need that disclaimer, but I'm speaking even as someone like I'm speaking outside of just being a Final Fantasy fan. It's a really solid JRPG. Like, so if you really want just a cool turn-based JRPG, this is a great game for that. So.
Okay, so we'll see. I am going to try out the demo that drops later this week. So I'll also share my thoughts on that next week on the co-op. One other quick thing I was going to mention is I know Gary was talking about Overwatch. He made the statement, this is the game that keeps on giving. Yeah, you're right, because there wasn't that much content in the game when it originally launched. So I'm glad to hear that they keep supporting the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know, I understand people's criticisms because it's easy to get burned by these games that are online only. Like you've seen it with Evolve, yeah, and Battlefront, games like that. Games that are just online. It's easy to get burnt, but this game is like the core gameplay itself is just so fun that I feel like it's quality enough as it is, and it's got a great community, I think, as well. So yeah, that's why I love it so much.
Well, yeah,
all toxic communities in a long time, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, I will say that there are a lot of there is a toxic community too, but I've met a lot of genuine people that are cool from there though. But yeah, I guess you have to be super invested to meet people like that though. But yeah, it is toxic because just the other day, like I was playing competitive. And the thing is with competitive, if somebody leaves the match, like within the first few minutes, it shuts down the entire match. And people have been doing that a lot since the Halloween thing came in. It seems like more people are just like leaving matches, and it's so infuriating because it's a waste of time a lot of times. And even if they leave later on in the match where it doesn't cut off the match, you're then at a huge disadvantage, so you're more likely to lose, and then you won't get your points and stuff. So yes, it's very annoying sometimes. And then when you do competitive, people are complaining about whatever character you pick and yada yada yada. So yeah, I agree, it can be toxic. But yeah, sorry, carry on, Rich.
Oh no, but no. All jokes aside, though, I can admit that the game is a good game. I do recall playing the demo that they have for it. I don't recall if it was a beta or a demo, but I had a lot of fun with it. Just haven't picked it up yet, and because of the topic we're going to discuss later, I have no idea when that's going to happen. But we'll see about that. But yeah, sounds good. So as for what I've been playing, a lot of the same games. Still playing Mafia 3. Still am planning to write up some stuff about Mafia 3. We didn't get a review copy of Mafia 3 early like every other publication out there. So it'll take a little bit of time. And the game it's not a game that you can just be done with in a day. What I can tell you right now, though, based off of what I have played, is that, like I said last week, the story is great, but as you get deeper into the gameplay and it continues to become repetitive, all of this stuff over and over again, you start to get really tired of it. It feels like a chore to get through the game. So I do have some criticisms with that particular stuff because it feels as though they could have done more with the title, but it's held back by that. Now, I am almost done with the game, so I'll have a lot more concrete things to say about it soon. But I do want to say I am disappointed by some of those things with the repetition because, I mean, the world is massive. It feels like they could have done a lot more with that. But for what it's worth, it's still an okay game. I'm not sure if I would tell someone to go out and pay $60 for it. I would say wait till the price drops and then pick it up because it's a game where, even if you're someone like me who I can admit that I like to play a lot of games where I'm collecting a lot of items, and that's in this game, but it still feels like a chore. If you're not really enjoying that process, then that's a problem right there. And I didn't have that problem in other games that I played that had those type of objectives and collectibles. So definitely is a game that I would say it's an okay game, but I would not recommend buying it now. I would wait until that price drops and then pick it up, and then then you can see what it's all about. But yeah, I spent a lot of time with that. I also played Gears of War 4 multiplayer. Horde mode is great, but man, the people who I always get into these matchups with, there is virtually no communication. So everything is starting out good, but when you get to a certain point in the wave, it's like because there's no communication, everybody just figures they're going to do their own thing, and then eventually it's nothing but we fail, we die. Last night I got to wave 40. Only 10 more waves to get to 50, and then all of a sudden the people who I was with just quit. They just couldn't take it anymore, and I was like, it's just ridiculous. But the game is still fun. Because you definitely have to play with people who are patient, do communicate, and know what the hell they're doing. Because a lot of people on our team chose one class when you're supposed to split those classes up among each other. So you just need to know the people who you're playing with. And if you do that, you'll have a lot more fun. Same thing goes with the campaign. You want to make sure you have a person who actually wants to get through the campaign and it's not goofing around half the time. So that's something you have to be mindful of. But other than that, the game is still fantastic. Still enjoying it for the most part. Definitely worth the time. And last but certainly not least, I have been playing The Walking Dead Season 2. I decided to go back and replay that because Season 3 starts next month. Another game that a lot of people possibly are not really, they maybe forgot that it's coming out in November. Of course, I remember because I am a Walking Dead fan. I know that the show will be back on TV next week. And while I do expect the show to be disappointing, I know the game won't be disappointing. So just getting ready for that, making sure my choices line up and save so that I'll be ready for Season 3. But other than that, that's
cool.
Oh, yeah.
I had something to say about Gears. Like, I am looking forward to playing it, but I do hope that by the time I get around to buying it, people will still be playing it and stuff. Because that's one of my biggest concerns. Like, because there's so many games out right now, and I can't focus on Gears right now. Even if I do buy it, like, there's so much else that I got to play that it's going to be hard to focus on that one game. But I hope that by the time I get it, the community will still be there and people will still be around for me to play the campaign and stuff. And I'm also hoping that my man Coltrane is going to be in there too. But I know you can't spoil that just now.
Well, I cannot talk about that stuff. I personally haven't seen the character. I don't know if the character is unlockable at multiplayer yet. I know Dom was, so I'm assuming that he is in there, but I haven't really unlocked enough to see if he's in it yet. But what you say is a valid concern. It's the same concern as to why I would be hesitant to wait on Overwatch, because I'm hoping when I actually do get it, people are still playing it.
People will be playing that for some time. That's like one of the games people are going to stick to.
Okay. All right. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, whether or not I do pick it up. But obviously, when it's a sale, no question about it, I'll pick it up ASAP.
Yeah, I think Max was going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I obviously can't speak on Overwatch since this is its first game, but I know Gears has always had a pretty dedicated community, even 2 years after the game has come out. Like Gears 3, there was still people playing it. Like, obviously the numbers are going to drop off, but kind of like Halo and all your other big shooters in Call of Duty, Gears tends to have its dedicated community. So there will always be people to play with. It might drop off after a while, but I don't think you should be too worried about not finding people to play with, which is nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And to add on to that, you already know that there will be a ton of sales, a ton of games on sale in the next couple months, because
Yeah.
I've already seen that happen for games that were out last month. Now they're on sale. Now they're a little bit cheaper. So I'm pretty sure Gears is also going to be one of those games around maybe Black Friday time. It's going to be a lot cheaper to get that because Microsoft is going to be trying to make sure that they're selling, because they have no exclusives coming out in November. So I know they're going to be pushing Gears and Forza hard around that time to get them sales up. So
That's cool. Yeah, I'll definitely pick it up at some point. I'm just not sure when. Yeah.
Oh, totally understood. You got some time though. So we're going to jump right into the main topics. We don't really have too many topics to talk about this week. You know, we're pretty busy over here at the Koalition, not to be confused with the Koalition that made Gears. No, we're pretty busy over here, so we don't really have too many topics this week, but we are going to talk about a few things. So first up, earlier today, want to get this out the way since this just happened this morning. Rockstar Games sent out a tweet with the Rockstar logo in a red background. This, of course, led to several websites now saying, oh, Rockstar is teasing Red Dead. And Rockstar didn't make an announcement about any of this stuff, but what I did find funny is when I went to the Rockstar website, they also posted that image up in a post, and then nothing, no comments, nothing. Of course, people commented, but they didn't write anything, no context to why they posted that image. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that particular image. How about you go first, Gary? Do you think that was a teaser for the next Red Dead game?
I do think so. I think it is. And Rockstar knows, like, that's one thing I appreciate about, you know, Rockstar and Hideo Kojima. Like, they have the ability to like send like the internet. They can shut down the internet just by doing the smallest thing, like updating your profile picture or whatever. Like, they have that ability, and I think they know that. So they knew what they were doing when they uploaded this picture. They knew it was gonna, like, you know, make people go crazy. And I do expect an announcement. Now, if they're doing this now, the timing would suggest that they're gonna announce something fairly soon, like within the next week or, you know, next couple of weeks. So I'm thinking maybe they're gonna announce Red Dead Redemption remastered version for, you know, for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And that will be a big deal even on PC, because the original was never on PC. But I also believe that come PlayStation Experience, they're going to announce another game in the Red Dead series. So that's what I think is they're building up to right here. But that's just my theory.
I'm pretty sure a few others will also share that theory. How about you, Mr. Lugo? What do you think?
I got similar sentiments to Gary. I think that it's obvious what it is. Remember, the whole talk about Red Dead or the next Red Dead game has been lingering around ever since E3 last year. Like, the big rumor at one point was that it was supposed to be revealed at the end of Sony's conference, until, you know, everything happened with the Orlando shooting and stuff. And I know that to be true because a couple different people, like including Colin Moriarty and a few others, had said they've talked to people and it's come from sources that was a thing. So that could be something where they're just priming everybody up. And keep in mind, we also got the re-release of the previous Red Dead game that came out. I believe it was on PS4, I think on the online store, or on PC at one point. So this all seems to be matching up. And talk about the next Red Dead game has been lingering for a while. I think I'm going to go with Gary that PSX might be the time frame where they actually show it, like a teaser trailer or something. But Rockstar's in a position where they don't have to really say much of anything and people get excited. And I think they know that. So not saying anything at this point, people are still talking about it. I mean, we're still talking about it now on the podcast. So one of the other funny things, and I kind of echo the sentiments also of Greg Miller, where he says, like, why not just, you know, show that same thing, right? Don't say anything and then show a date or show a release window. And then people will be really excited at that point. You know, the Rockstar, they hardly ever release their games frequently. Like, whenever they do, it's a big event. So they could kind of, you know, take the same type of route that Doom took and not say anything for a very long time. And then once they do finally open up about it, it's coming out like the next couple of months afterwards. Like they could do that and everybody will still pick up their game because they know the type of quality they're getting with the Rockstar games. So this is exciting. This is very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Max? What do you think?
I just wanted to, aside from what everyone said, which I pretty much agree with, it's very exciting for a whole new Red Dead Redemption game. I was actually looking through the comments on a lot of these articles, and a lot of people are saying, don't get too excited. It may just be a remaster, but I really doubt it's going to be a remaster since they just added it to backwards compat. What was it, a 6,000% increase in sales or something like that? A bunch of people already got it. There's no point for them to come out with a remaster. They might as well just go on with the sequel. Like, I really don't think it'll be a remaster at all. And there's a large amount of people that seem to think that, or maybe they're just saying that so that they don't get their hopes up too much. But
that's a good point about that, because
yeah.
I completely forgot that they made a big deal about the backwards compatible version.
Yeah, and it actually still hasn't been brought to PC, to my knowledge. There were people complaining about that, but I don't think they would do an announcement like this. Like, I think if they were going to do a remaster, they would just say it right away. They wouldn't tease us like this.
I agree. Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. So I'd be very surprised if this wasn't a sequel announcement.
I think this is pretty obvious.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'll say this. There is excitement. I am holding out for an actual announcement versus just the image. But I will say this. I do believe that PSX would make sense. But I'm also not going to rule out the fact that this could get announced at the Video Game Awards, because I don't know of anything that's going to be announced there yet. They always have something that is announced at that show, whether it be a big deal or not. I remember Psychonauts 2 was announced there as one of those games. No Man's Sky, Gary's favorite game of 2016, was also announced there. So
that's a very good point.
I would think that, Rockstar, I really do believe that they could make this announcement anytime they want to. But obviously, maybe they will take a different approach this time and they'll have it at one of these events. I mean, I'm not sure, but I am looking forward to the announcement, but I just want the announcement. I don't want all this teaser stuff is good, but we already know that this game was in development because they have already said multiple times that there are other games, that franchises that we are going to revisit. This was obviously one of the next big successes after Grand Theft Auto, so I think everyone knows that this is already in development.
You know something, Rich? That's a good point, because keep in mind, the Video Game Awards are around the same time as PSX. They're on the same weekend, I think, or like a day or two beforehand, though they're not at the same locations, because the PSX is at Anaheim, and I believe the Video Game Awards are in LA, if I'm not mistaken. But that's a very good point, because I think over the last few years, the Video Game Awards have gone a lot of big announcements. No Man's Sky, like you said, Psychonauts 2. There's been a number of different ones, or at least, a number of different big showings at those events. Like, a lot of people give that award show a lot of crap for various different reasons, but I think that's one of the better aspects of them, that we do get announcements, we do get showcases of games that are coming over the next year or so. So I wouldn't put it past Rockstar to maybe do that.
Yeah, you know what else we're going to see at the Video Game Awards this year? Kojima's going to be there, and we're going to see gameplay for Death Stranding.
That'd be funny. That'd be hilarious, because keep in mind, last year he was snubbed from not going. So if knowing Jeff Keighley, I'd be pretty hard pressed that he doesn't do something like crazy like that. Or maybe he opens up with Kojima. He walks out on stage, talks about, "Hey guys, I'm finally here."
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you sure it's gonna be gameplay, Gary, or a teaser? Because this game still ain't coming out no time soon.
Yeah, it'll probably be a teaser, like, because
image of Norman Reedus. That's what it'll be.
Yeah. Or Norman Reedus will actually be there too. It would just be them talking on stage. That'll be it.
Well, hey, Norman Reedus may not have an option but to be there if his character gets killed off of Walking Dead this season. That's a whole nother discussion.
They can't kill him. Everyone will riot. Do you not remember?
Oh no, that has to listen. That has to happen. That has to happen. Because they got to switch it up. We'll see next week what that's all about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is an exciting time. I'm glad that Rockstar, they have been very quiet for quite a while. They've been, of course, supporting Grand Theft Auto 5 online, which is great. But I am very curious to see what this is. I just saw the reactions this morning. People talking about Bully 2. I said, come on now. These guys are just reaching. You know that red background was with Red Dead, so I don't really know what people are talking about. But we'll find out sooner rather than later. I look forward to the announcement. Any other final thoughts on this topic before we move on?
So how would you feel if, because like I'm thinking, because they literally just did this, I'm thinking like maybe we'll see an announcement tomorrow or within the next week or so, because that would make sense. But
Nah.
like, do you guys think they're really going to draw this out at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, straight up, because there's no reason for them to reveal anything right now. Like, look at just a teaser image that doesn't say anything. It's just a red background. Look at the reaction that they got. They don't have to say anything.
Yeah, I guess like the hype will just do the marketing for them anyway. So they really don't have to do anything. But it seems odd that, you know, they have the power to do that, but it's just like, okay.
I feel like they wouldn't have done this teaser if they don't have something else to show soon, like even something very little, even a screenshot or two. I think they have something a bit more, but it probably won't be much.
Yeah, because, you know, we saw reports of, you know, they had those fiscal calls, and in those calls, one of the CEOs over there, I believe his last name is Zelnick, kept saying that we are going to be talking about other projects soon. He kept saying that all this year. So yeah, they're gonna make some type of announcement soon. It's just a matter of when.
But do you think we'll wait until December for that announcement?
Well, you know, December ain't that far away now, because I mean we're about halfway over with October.
Exactly.
True.
And that would be right at the beginning of December, so it wouldn't even be like a full 2 months. You know,
right before the holidays too. It's the perfect. It feels like the perfect time frame for stuff like that to happen, especially if you're talking about games that are probably going to be into next year for 2017. Because who knows? We don't really have a context of like how much in development Red Dead or whatever this Red Dead game is. For all we know, it could come out next year, and like they could have already been like super far in development, you know, for what they could talk about or what they could show. So if it just feels like it would be right. But really the main thing that we should take out of all of this, outside of just the image that it is coming and such, is that Rockstar is in a very good position to do something like this. They're not in a position where they have to earn everybody's trust. Everybody trusts them explicitly at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, we'll see how it pans out. It's going to be a very interesting time ahead. But you are correct. They are in a great position. So they really can do whatever they want to do. I look forward to seeing when they announce it. Now, I would prefer that they would announce that this will be a very similar to what happened with Fallout 4, where the release date is announced and then it's out. So I don't know if they're going to drag this out until next holiday. I have no idea. But I look forward to the announcement whenever they actually make it, because they definitely are going to say something soon. I would have to believe that. So any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so another quick topic to discuss. This is about Phil Spencer and Xbox Play Anywhere. He recently had an interview with PC Authority in which he made a couple of interesting statements. Of course, he reiterated that you know, their main goal is to make all of their first-party games available on both Xbox and Windows. And he said that he hopes this initiative will give third-party companies, you know, a confidence to also have their titles come to Xbox as Play Anywhere titles. I mean, Phil Spencer pretty much says that he believes that will happen over time. You know, obviously a little bit of confidence in saying that, because there are no guarantees that any of that stuff is going to happen, because there's still a lot of titles that Microsoft has not been able to get approved for backwards compatibility. So, but I wanted to get you guys' opinion as to whether or not you think that third-party publishers would be open to the idea of making their titles Xbox Play Anywhere, in terms of being able to play on Xbox and PC against, you know, cross-play, etc.
Can I go first?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I understand what he's trying to do, but I feel like a lot of these third-party publishers wouldn't bite the bullet, because the thing is, they could that would take away money from them, because if you look at it like on PC, for example, you already have EA Origin and Ubisoft have Uplay and stuff. So like they have more control over how they deliver their games to PC people. And then, you know, the console market is completely separate. So to have their these third-party titles on Xbox Play Anywhere, that would mean that people could pay one price and play it on PC and on console. And that's taking money away from the publisher. So I don't see how they would get publishers to agree to it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Go ahead, Max.
I have to completely agree with that, because it works for Microsoft, because otherwise their games are only coming to Xbox. So they put them on PC as well. They're possibly getting that PS4 market, who also owns a PC, to get it. Whereas a company like EA, they have no need to put it on Xbox Play Anywhere, because they're already getting on Xbox, PS4, and Origin, or whatever. There is absolutely no reason for them to put it on the Microsoft store. And obviously, Phil Spencer has to say, like, yeah, he thinks people will adopt it. He can't shun his own company. Like, that's literally his job, to always say, yeah, it'll work out. But I have a hard time believing he thinks that all these companies will really jump on. It's just, there's almost no benefit to them doing it.
Agreed. I think it's I think it's good for Microsoft to have confidence about all these things that they're talking about. The Scorpio is going to have 4K native, all this other stuff, but we already know that all of that stuff is not going to come true. So definitely a reality check. But I agree 100% with what Gary said, because there really is no other way to really describe it. Do you have any thoughts, Mr. Lugo?
No, to be honest, I think you guys pretty much hit the nail on the head. Because again, I'm not really so engaged in the Xbox ecosystem like that, so you guys would know more about that than me.
Yeah, no, totally understood. What I will say though is this: I am glad that Microsoft does have Xbox Play Anywhere for their exclusives, because I don't think that the games were selling quite as good. When the Xbox was first announced, you had a lot of great games that they had that were out there, but people weren't buying the game. And I feel as though you had games like Sunset Overdrive, maybe they didn't sell quite as well as it could have sold. This is a game that is also supposedly coming to PC at some point, but it all depends on when Microsoft actually gets that to happen. But I am at least glad that the games are able to sell on PC now. A lot of people who I know, they would not go out and pick up an Xbox One for Forza or Gears, but they have a PC, so now they can purchase those games instead of having to worry about buying a console. So I'm at least glad that they do have that going on. I've heard nothing but positive things about the PC version of Gears 4. Obviously, I would not know because I don't have a gaming PC that could run that, but everyone has said the game is absolutely fantastic.
So I've been hearing great things. I hear it looks really good. The only downside is that it takes up so much space, but like PC heads shouldn't have a problem with that anyway, because we make sure we have huge hard drives and stuff, and SSDs. So yeah, I'm hearing great things about it, and I agree with everything you said. It's great that Microsoft has implemented this Play Anywhere system. The only downside, like I said earlier, is the pricing. They need to really work on that and get that right. I'm not actually sure if it's the same price as you would pay on a console. I need to look at that, because I just know that the Gears of War 4 is £50 for the basic version. And I'm not used to paying that price on PC, because that's just crazy. That price tag seems crazy to me on PC.
Well, so that's just for the regular version, not the Ultimate Edition.
That's for the regular version.
Yeah,
I have seen it. I've seen it cheaper on CD Keys, which is like a site you can go to get keys and stuff. But only a few pounds cheaper, really. So it's still quite pricey. But yeah, that's one of the things they have to really work on before they get to the point they want. Because I know what Phil Spencer is trying to say with this statement. I think what they ultimately want to be is like a Steam, but they want to bridge the gap between console and PC. Like, say they want to give people access between both platforms. I think that's ideally what they want to be, like Steam for, you know, console and PC together kind of thing. But they have a lot of work to do before they get to that point, I think. And if they really are going to consider third-party games and stuff, I think they would have to start with indies, really, to be honest, because these big publishers, I don't see them, you know, doing that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But you know, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know there's a couple of games that you know, that they delayed till next year. Games like Cuphead, Scalebound. You know, I believe that I know Scalebound is going to be an Xbox Play Anywhere title. I mean, I don't know about Cuphead because that was a game that wasn't really discussed, you know, as one of the games. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I think the third party thing is that's a tall order to think that they can even come close to doing that. I'm totally fine though with them just doing what they're doing now, where you're able to play Gears on PC, you're able to play Forza on PC. I think that's good enough.
Do you guys think Gears is going to come to Steam later on, like Quantum Break did?
I don't think it will come as soon. I think it might be a long time before it does.
Well, actually, let me ask a question. Let me ask a question. Speaking of that Quantum Break Steam version, did that version have any issues, or did it launch and then everything was fine? Because I believe it was one of them that had issues. I don't know if it was the PC version on Windows 10, but I just wanted to clarify that. Do you guys know if the Steam version has had any issues?
I haven't actually heard any feedback about Quantum Break. Have you, Max?
I'm on the page right now, and it has a very positive overall, and all these reviews are pretty positive. I'm not really seeing anything about issues, because I know that it now runs DX11, which the one on the Windows Store did not. So that made it available to more people. And everyone seems to be saying it ran pretty well. There doesn't really seem to be any issues in the skimming I'm doing right now. Okay.
And was you saying that you think Gears will come sooner?
I don't know if it'll come to Steam at all.
All right. Okay.
I still think it's weird that Quantum Break came to Steam, because I agree with you 100%. Microsoft's trying to like do another Steam, but I don't know. If they're releasing their games on Steam, then that's not going to help them at all. But I think it's smart for them to bring it to Steam.
It's definitely smart. I feel like they kind of have to, like, because the thing is, like, I've heard a lot of complaints about their Windows Store and how it's implemented and stuff. And there are legit people, PC gamers out there who won't buy a game unless it's on Steam. So they have to, you know, if they want to get the as much money out of these people as possible, they have to eventually bring games to Steam, I think, because the user base is just so huge. And you know, I've converted various PC gamers, and they don't buy games unless it's on Steam. Like, that's just the standard for them. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So
I pretty much do that same thing, but I also have my console, so it's a bit different, where I can get them on console usually, aside from Steam.
Yeah.
So we'll see. You know, no real telling what all will happen with some of this stuff in the industry. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think the third party, what they are shooting for with third party, I don't think that's going to happen. Yes, with indies, more than likely, yes, because you know those are the people that need to sell their games more. But the big publishers like EA, all these other ones, I have no idea, and I don't really believe any of that stuff will happen. But you know, we'll have to see what happens. They're trying to take a wait and see approach to see how it does with the actual exclusives, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But I don't think it's going to happen, because based on what you said, Gary, pretty straightforward. It makes sense. So we'll see. Final thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
Nah.
I'm good.
Okay. So the next topic. This is going to be a very brief one. We already spoke about PlayStation VR last week. But of course, you know, Sony actually, you know, I have a couple of quotes here because Sony has a couple of projections for how they believe PlayStation VR will do. You know, in an interview with CNBC, Sony Computer Entertainment European representative Jim Ryan says that they are expecting to sell as many as hundreds of thousands of units at launch. Now, I know that this past week when the system launched, I got numerous emails about, do you want to pick it up? It said GameStop. Because the funny thing is that a lot of these units sold out already prior to that, but Sony is basically been replenishing the lineups. So if I was to go to GameStop right now, I will be able to pick up a PlayStation VR without a problem because they told me they got plenty in stock. But the question I wanted to pose to you guys is, we've already addressed and we said that we think it's possibly going to be big in the very beginning. And that may continue for a little while. But have any of you changed your opinions on whether or not you want PlayStation VR, whether or not it's something you want to explore? Do you think it's going to, surprise a lot of people as far as the increased sales over the next couple of months? So how about you answer that first question? You can go first, Mr. Lugo.
I was going to say that, to be honest with you, my opinions on PSVR haven't changed just yet. I still think that we all need a little bit more exposure to the technology and stuff. I think maybe that's a little bit much saying that they're going to sell millions, that they're really going to sell that many units like that. But I don't know. You can't really read the tea leaves like that. Remember, they probably have access to more data than what we're capable of getting right now at the moment. But I think that if there is a big influx in sales, like what we said the last couple of times we talked about PSVR, it's going to be from people that don't really understand the technology, and then it's going to sit there and collect dust afterwards. It's not going to be really people that understand that this is the type of experience, that it's a different way to play games, and that we're not really going to get that great experience like what we expect from most of our console games now. We're not going to get a Last of Us. We're not going to get a true Batman game like what we've gone up to this point. Again, we have Batman Arkham VR at the moment, but we're not going to get those fully self-realized games on VR within the first few years that it's on the market. At least that's what I believe. So anyway.
Now, to play devil's advocate, Mr. Gary, one of our colleagues, Mr. Carl Daniel, has PlayStation VR. What has he told you about his experience thus far with the system?
Yeah, he so far he seems to be enjoying it. I know, he had his family over and they all tried it out and stuff. And the feedback I heard from him was pretty positive, minus 1 or 2 games that he said a couple of them made him sick. And that was Drive Club, and I don't remember the name of the other game. But yeah, but besides that, he said a lot of the games were really good. And I heard that the Until Dawn game in VR is very good. So, that's pretty cool, but it hasn't really swayed my opinion at all. I'm still holding off on it. Maybe, if they show me some cool titles that are coming out within the next year for the device, I may consider it. But, it costs almost £400, and I'm kind of saving up for a new graphics card for my PC right now. So that's my priority. So I'm not, that fussed with PSVR. But I do want to, clap it up for Sony, because they did a lot of great marketing this week, especially in Europe and London. They had a giant PSVR at one of our train stations, the King's Cross train station, which is pretty cool. It made me actually want to go there and see it in person. So that's pretty cool that they did that. They really amped up the marketing this week. So I got to give them a round of applause, because they usually suck with that kind of thing. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the sales are like for the device. It does seem like a lot of people are excited about it this week. And especially, I know something is kind of a big deal when people who aren't gamers talk to me about it. So there's been a few cases where people have brought up PSVR to me, like people who aren't gamers. And, that made me realize, okay, so, maybe Sony is doing something right. So, so we'll see what the sales numbers are like, though, I guess.
Very good point. I have a comment to make on that, but before I do that, Max, I know that you haven't really had a chance to give your opinion of PlayStation VR. Are you interested in the device? Do you think it's something that will potentially sell well?
Well, I think JJ hit the nail on the head here pretty much. I agreed with pretty much everything he said on that. I haven't been able to try PSVR, but I just don't think that it's going to sell millions. I think it's really cool, and I want to try it. I want to try the HTC Vive more. Also, just because I don't have a PS4, the Vive is something I can actually get. But I don't know. I think it'll be cool. I think from what I've seen, people are really liking it, both on Twitter and reviewing. It was been reviewing pretty well. I just think that, like he said, it's going to be a lot of those people who don't know much about it that are going to buy it first, like maybe parents for their kids, or kind of like the Wii was when it came out, where everyone was just kind of buying it because it seemed really interesting, and it was interesting. But it obviously won't be as successful as the Wii was right away, but I don't know. I think that it'll have a decent following at the start, and I think that it'll only get better from here on, though. I think that VR is a big future in gaming. Just right now, it's not going to be too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say this. I do agree that the VR definitely seems to be it seems to be one thing that's really picking up steam now. You know, when you see companies like Bethesda announce that they have Bethesda VR at their conference like they did at E3 this year, that tells you that, you know, a lot of companies are open to the idea of experimenting with VR further. Now, with that said, I will say this. As I said before, you know, I don't think my opinion has changed too much on PlayStation VR. I am interested in seeing what type of software is put out on the device over time, because again, as someone who has owned a Vita, and I've said many times on this show, I'm not particularly happy with the way the Vita was treated after it launched, because I was waiting for quality games to come to it. Now, I'm not saying the JRPGs and such that come to it now aren't good. That's fine. But I was expecting more first-party titles, and I didn't really get didn't really get a good idea of that when I got the system. So I would be hesitant to get a PlayStation VR now because I don't know what all is coming to it. I will probably wait to see what other titles are in the works. And I know that Sony has teased a couple of things in the past and at these conferences. But obviously, I think PlayStation Experience, they're going to really hit home a lot of things that are coming to the device, because at that point, the device is already out. You need to convince people, those that already have it, why they want to keep the device, why they would need to invest more time into it, and as well as sell that device to others. So I think they're going to have more games to show at that particular time. But I have to agree with what JJ said as well, right on the head, about the people who don't really understand the technology quite yet, but picked it up anyway. I think a lot of those people are also picking up the PlayStation 4 Pro because they hear 4K and HDR, but yet the full potential of both of those are not really fully there yet. This is something where, you know, it's a wait and see approach to see how it's used in the games and the TV and technology moving forward. I mean, we don't really know the full potential of HDR or 4K yet, but they are saying, well, if you want the latest technology, pick it up. And I feel a lot of people who are tech heads are going to pick up this stuff just because it's the latest and greatest, and it has some promise of what it can deliver in the future, but they don't really know how good it is. I already did that when I picked up the Vita, so I am definitely going to be hesitant about approaching PlayStation VR because I know the Vita was not supported well. I like to think that PlayStation VR is going to be supported well because you do have third parties that are on board, but we have to see, because I'm not yet convinced. But I definitely do want to congratulate Sony on launching the device. I heard that it has been selling pretty well so far, so congratulations go out to them for that. And I look forward to seeing where this goes. But any final thoughts on this topic before we move on to the next?
No, that's it from me.
Yep, I'm good.
Sounds good. All right, we have two final topics to get into. Another quick one. It was reported this week that and once again, we have to reiterate, this is a news story. We didn't make up this headline, because some people think we make up headlines. No, this was a news story. So it was reported that the Xbox One has once again won the NPDs for the third time, 3 times in a row. And of course, this wasn't really, I mean, to be quite honest, I was surprised about this because I figured that October, when you have a game like Gears coming out, that would be the month that Microsoft would win. But obviously, the news about the Xbox One S. A lot of people want that console, picked up that console. Plus, there were a lot of deals, bundles, and such out there. So I could understand why it's continuing to sell. But Gary wanted to ask the question. Now, based on the 3 months that they have had so far, when do we think this momentum will continue, or do we think it's going to end as we get deeper into the holiday? So, Gary, why don't you answer that question first?
Okay, yeah. So like the first month when this happened, I was like, okay, cool, nice going, Microsoft. Then the second time I was like, wow, that's interesting. And the third time I was like, wow, like that's crazy. 3 months in a row. And I started thinking about, okay, what happened in September? Like, because obviously Forza came out, and that's a good franchise for them and everything. But what else happened in September?
Max and JJ's favorite game came out called Recore.
Oh yeah, that's.
So I don't think anything has to do with that. But
yeah, I don't think.
I was thinking like, okay, are gamers starting to catch on a little bit? Like, because the PlayStation meeting happened in September, and this whole PS Pro thing, did that turn people off? Like, are more people now more interested in getting Xboxes instead of PlayStations? Like, so that's the thought that came up in my mind. And it'll be interesting to see, what the momentum will be, like what the sales will be next month. Because obviously Gears came out, so it's kind of expected Microsoft might win this month. But November, that is going to be really, really interesting to see what happens that month, because the PS4 Pro is out, in that month. So yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye out and seeing what's happening from here on, because it's getting real interesting to me.
Okay, I'll make a quick comment, and then I'm going to let JJ and Max speak. Obviously, the Recore thing was a joke. I will say that there were a lot of sales that they had, a lot of discounted prices. The original Xbox One dropped in price also. But I just think that obviously when people heard about the Xbox One S, the console looks fantastic. It's a very good looking console.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people just wanted to pick that up. But what you said about PlayStation 4, people turned off. No, I think this has been said many times on many shows, including the Throwdown. People are more than likely waiting for the Pro to come out, and then they're going to pick up that console instead, because the Slim came out. I don't really know what the sales numbers are, because the sales numbers haven't been released yet. This is just based off of what they were saying as far as what's sold. Now, obviously, there'll be more data presented next week when the software sales come out. But I just think that some people are waiting on the Pro because, again, the latest and greatest, when the Slim came out, it's a slimmer console, but it's pretty much the same as the current PlayStation 4, and it is going to replace the current PlayStation 4. But I just think that when people heard about that S, and the console looks real good, that's what did work wonders. And I do think that October, you're going to see the same thing with Gears, because that Gears Xbox One S, a lot of people have been buying that left and right. And that makes a difference. Plus, they have a couple of other bundles coming. They have a bundle for Battlefield 1 coming that they already showed. It's like they have a lot of different bundles too. So that's just a couple of things that I wanted to put out there.
Yeah, I guess you definitely make a good point, you and the guys on the Throwdown. That could be what it is. People are just not buying PS4s because they're waiting for the Pro. But yeah. I'm definitely really interested in seeing how much the Pro is actually going to sell when it comes out. Like I can't wait for that MPD. But yeah,
I can't wait either. Well, no, Max, how about you share your thoughts?
I actually think one of the biggest reasons is now because all of the first parties are finally on Xbox. You can't forget all those people who have just been waiting for everything to come out. Now that Gears and Forza are out, they have Halo. The people who still haven't jumped onto Halo 5 yet, they're like, all right, I wanted Halo, but that wasn't enough to justify just buying this console. Now that my other favorite franchises like Forza and Gears are out, I'll finally just make this purchase. I think that's actually one of the biggest things. And Recore, honestly, there may have been some people that were like, oh, I'll get a bundle and get Recore as well. It looks cool, and then it didn't do well. Like, they may have just not waited for reviews or whatever. But I think that's actually one of the biggest reasons. Now the whole lineup is here. all the people who either jumped to PS4 or just waited are like, all right, now's the time to do it.
That's a very good point. A very, very good point. Yeah. How about you, Mr. Lugo? Any thoughts?
I think it's a combination of all of that. I think it's a combination of a number of different factors because the holidays are right around the corner. People that already own a PlayStation 4, the original model, like that, obviously have probably been looking for different excuses to get an Xbox One at some point. The Xbox One Slim seems like the best deal at the moment, especially with all the games. Even though I didn't like ReCore as much, like a lot of other people did, it's still an exclusive on the console, and there's others there. Now with Gears 4 out and everything else that's coming out or has been coming out lately, that's more than enough reasons to pick up the Xbox One if you didn't already own one. But I think also we have to understand that not only the holidays are around the corner and the PlayStation Pro event did happen, and that was probably one of the bigger contributing factors for people not wanting to get a PlayStation console at the moment, because there was no reason to buy the old model now that the Pro and the Slim have been announced. That's just real talk like that. And keep in mind, the Slim is replacing the older model at this point. In addition to that, I don't know necessarily if the Pro is going to be the bigger selling model. I think the Slim might be because it's cheaper. I know I have a couple people near me in real life, including my brother, that said he's going to get the Pro this holiday season. He's been waiting for a reason to buy a PlayStation 4, and he just recently bought an Xbox One, and he got games like Gears 4 and stuff like that. But he's already planned out that he's going to get a PlayStation 4 Pro. So I'm pretty sure there's people like that just haven't been buying a lot of stuff lately, if they have already bought an Xbox One console within some of the time frame that the NPD numbers are talking about. But still, I think that it's going to be one of those things where it ebbs and flows over the course leading into the holiday season. Maybe come December into January, those numbers change. Maybe they flip. Maybe, again, they're all over the place. They have hills and valleys on their graphs and stuff. But I feel like the holidays are going to be a huge factor in all of this.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what you all said. The holidays definitely will be a factor. I would like to hope that the Slim is what sells more, because there's a lot of games that people may want to get. Obviously, if they pick up the Pro, that's $100 more. So that means maybe one or two games you won't be getting at launch because of that. But I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I do think I do know a lot of people that have been waiting for the Pro. Some of these people don't even have a 4K TV, but they are planning to get a 4K TV now because they want that system. But they've already pre-ordered the system. They had no hesitation whatsoever about that. So we'll have to see how that does. But yeah, I think the point that Max made about the all these different first-party games, that is 100% accurate, because I wouldn't necessarily tell someone to pick up a console just for one game. I know the Gears console, it looks fantastic. Hell, I've thought about getting it, but I wouldn't tell someone to just get that console just for that one game. Halo came out last year. While I wasn't a fan of the single player mode, some of the stuff they did in that, I still think the game is fantastic. So yeah, there's a lot more reasons to pick up that system, because you already see there's a lot of the first party titles are already out there, and now it's just going to be more titles from here on out, like Scalebound, which will be coming next year, Halo Wars 2, which will be out in February. So, yeah, it's definitely a good time to pick up the console. And then, of course, all those bundles, there's so many different options that you have. So you don't have to just focus on getting this one console. I mean, I really think that the number of bundles that they have, it definitely helps as well. So I look forward to seeing what happens. I do congratulate Microsoft for winning this month. As I said before, I only figured they were going to win October because of Gears, but we'll see what happens moving forward. But any final thoughts on this topic before we move on?
I'm good.
No, I'm good.
All right, we're good. All right, so this is the fun topic of the show. The topic that I know Gary couldn't wait to get to, because we want to definitely talk about the upcoming, as Gary will call it, Gamergeddon 2016. Everybody knows that it's always busy with the releases around this time, October, November, December. So we wanted to have a discussion. This is an open discussion about which games we are planning to pick up this fall. Now, I can talk about a couple of the releases if you guys want to give you a deeper understanding of everything that's coming out. But off the top of your heads, which games are you absolutely looking forward to picking up so far? And then we'll go on to the next question of asking which games you think you're possibly going to wait to pick up at a later time. So I'm going to have you go first, Gary, because I know that there's a couple games that you already had in mind that you wanted to pick up. So let us know what your picks would be.
Yeah, so usually I think it's usually November. That's the crazy month for me. But this year I'm finding October is pretty crazy. And because there's so many games I want right now, and there's games that I want that are coming out the same day and stuff. So, this month, the games that I really, really want are, so there's Mafia 3, which is already out. And, I hope to get that at some point. It's just a case of planning out what I can actually play and stuff like that. Gears of War 4, of course, which we already talked about. And then, World of Final Fantasy and Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse 2 come out on the exact same day. And I want both of those games. Thankfully, I got the chance to review one of them now, so it makes things a bit easier in terms of, playing them and stuff. But it's just crazy that those two games dropped on the same day. And then Battlefield 1 also, which is another big title that, this month that I know I want to get this game. I may have to make a sacrifice though, just because there's I really want to play Mafia 3 and Gears while a lot of people are still playing Gears. So I may end up having to make a sacrifice there, but I'll see. And then next month, you have Watch Dogs 2, you have Final Fantasy 15, of course, and then Pokemon Sun and Moon, which I want on the 3DS as well. And then you also got stuff like Call of Duty and Titanfall coming out and stuff, but I'm not too interested in those games personally. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. December, you also have some stuff too, most notably The Last Guardian. So, for the people that want that, I personally, it's not one of my picks, but hey, that's another option. But I'm eager to see what you guys think. Like, what picks are what are your picks for holiday 2016? What games should everybody definitely get?
Oh yeah. How about you go next, Mr. Lugo, if you already have an idea of what your picks would be?
Well, I'm in the similar camp as Gary. I mean, I definitely want to pick up Final Fantasy 15. I think we all do at some point, or everybody does, whether it's for morbid curiosity or if we're really big FF fans. That's one thing. A lot of the games that I was looking forward to have already gotten pushed back over the last month or two, which I would have thrown in there Kingdom Hearts 2.8, but at the very last minute, that got pushed back to January. So, I mean, I'm excited for Final Fantasy 15. I'm excited for World of Final Fantasy. That's Gary's review eventually when it comes out. It's going to be going to dictate whether I pick it up or not, because he's on the side. I think besides myself, he's the only other really big Final Fantasy fan, so he'll know what's up when it drops. But besides that, there's a couple others. I mean, I'm actually curious about The Last Guardian. I'm curious about Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I'm also curious about Sword Art Online Holo-Realization. Now, you guys know, because in the past I've reviewed the other Sword Art Online games, and I'm a big fan of the anime. So that's something I'm looking forward to actually seeing through. That comes out actually in November. And it's different than the previous two games. It feels like that series totally changes up every single release. But that's kind of an interesting one. But as far as lesser known, lesser popular choices besides you're obviously Pokemon and stuff like that. The two games that I want to kind of give nods to is Dragon Ball Fusions, which is something I've been talking about with a couple different people for some time, because it just looks interesting to me on 3DS. But also, if I had a PlayStation VR, because granted I don't have one now, but if I did, one of the ones I would be looking at is Star Trek. Star Trek Bridge Crew. And the reason why is because I'm a big Star Trek fan. And from what a lot of the talk that I keep seeing from people, that seems to be a really cool VR game, especially if you're a Trek fan. It just seems again, a lot of the stuff that you would expect there to be in a Star Trek-esque type of game are accounted for, and it's in VR. So it only, makes the experience a little bit much more better. But I digress, though. So those are some of my picks. I'm much more leaning towards some of the bigger releases.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. Um, how about you, Max? You have any idea as to some games that you would be interested in picking up this fall?
Okay, so I want pretty much every big game coming out, but obviously that isn't a realistic thing. So I delegated it to getting two purchases for sure, which is Dishonored 2 and Final Fantasy 15. Those are my two for sure games if that's all I end up getting. Then I really do want to check out Steep, that upcoming Ubisoft snowboarding game. I actually missed the beta. Hopefully I can get into another beta. That one I'm going to wait for reviews for, of course. But and then I'm planning on getting the Gears 4 season pass, and that's like the price of a game in itself. So that it's actually either between Battlefield 1 or Gears of War 4 season pass. And the reason with that is, though, with Gears, I'm sure I can keep playing even if I don't get the season pass. I'm sure I won't be that locked out of things. Whereas if I get Battlefield 1, I pretty much need to get the season pass because of the way EA is with their stuff. So that's going to be kind of a tough decision between those two, but honestly, I might not end up getting Battlefield 1 or the season pass. And then For Honor is coming out in January, and so is Halo Wars 2. Or Halo Wars 2 is in February, actually, and For Honor, sorry. But those are coming out early into next year, so I have to save up for those, and I just need to sit down and look into these and really, really decide which ones I'm going for, aside from Dishonored 2 and Final Fantasy. Because those both look incredible, and I don't want to miss those at all.
Yeah, hey, listen, that totally makes sense. So what I will say is this: in listening to some of these picks, there's a couple games that I didn't hear, and I guess that's a testament to show why it's a bad idea to release so many games, and then they don't really pick up steam. No one wants Titanfall 2.
I do, but like, I don't know. I want everything else more.
People were turned off about that beta.
Yeah, that's
there was a
actually the
really
biggest
bad
thing.
response to that beta
Yeah.
that came out.
I heard they
be
changed
honest.
things after that, but I don't know.
To be honest, they really should push that game back. Like that should
Yeah.
come out like March or something. Like
Yeah, that should. It's too close to Battlefield. Way too close, to be
It's
honest.
gonna be like a Rise of the Titan or Rise of the Tomb Raider situation, where it dropped on the same day as Fallout 4.
Well, this will be EA's own fault because they knew they were the ones that said, yeah, it's coming out at this time. They could have easily delayed it out further, but I guess they said, no, we're confident that the game is going to be good, so it has to come out at this time.
Yeah. The first one was fun as hell. I loved the first one.
Yeah. The first one was great. I do think that they possibly, that game was possibly rushed because of all of the stuff that you received after the game came out.
Yeah.
New modes and all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, you could have just waited to put all this stuff in the game and then release it. But they said, no, it needs to come out now. So,
it also came out in like March, if I'm not mistaken, where nothing else was out, which was great because everyone freaking bought it.
Yeah.
But now that's the complete opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say this. As for my picks, so before I get to that, let me just say this right now. Gary, I'm talking to you personally, and I'm also talking to everyone out there that is considering getting Mafia 3. I would highly recommend that you wait until the price drops. I'm not saying the game is bad. It's not bad. There's certain things about it that are very annoying. It's a lot of repetition. But if I have to choose between that and another game that I actually want, I'm going to say you probably should wait till that price drops because I'm about 100% certain most of these games are going to be cheaper by Black Friday. So I would recommend that to anyone that is thinking about Mafia 3, unless you absolutely have to have it, you want it, you need it, then I would just say hold off a little bit longer. You'll get it for cheaper, maybe in about a month or so. So as for the games that I am waiting for or planning on picking up, I have to admit, I am interested in World of Final Fantasy now because I want to hear why Gary likes it. I want to hear why all these other people think this game is fantastic. And as I said before, I've never really played a Final Fantasy game yet. Obviously, it should have started with Final Fantasy X before all the other stuff, but I may pick this up depending on how that I believe it's a demo coming out next week. So depending on how that demo goes, I may pick it up. Not 100% sure yet. But definitely a game I do plan on checking out. Batman, which of course most of us already own. Episode 3 is out the end of this month also. So that's another thing that I have to make time. Yes, that is another thing I have to make time for. So that's going to take away from a few other games that I would get. I may be the only one here that is actually planning to try to get Titanfall 2. I don't know yet. I have to see first. Again, leading up to these next couple of weeks, let's see how the reception is for the game. But it definitely is tricky to have Battlefield, Titanfall, and Call of Duty all out at the same time or around the same time, because there's no way somebody's going to buy all 3 of those games. Unless, of course, they can afford to, and all they want to play is shooters. That's the only difference. But of the 3 games, of those 3 games in particular, Call of Duty, I'm interested in the campaign. If I have to wait to play the game, I can wait. It's not a game I need to have on day one. Battlefield is the same thing. However, I will be checking out Battlefield soon because, the game is out this upcoming week. But I don't think it's a game I need to buy immediately because I'm not really a heavy Battlefield fan like that. I enjoy Battlefield Hardline, but the main Battlefield games, I don't know. It's kind of touch and go with me. If I had to choose between Battlefield and Call of Duty, though, Battlefield is a lot more appealing because it's the World War I setting. The Call of Duty games with this futuristic stuff, it's always like it's the same thing every year now. Starting with Advanced Warfare, it was futuristic. You have Black Ops 3, and now this game is also futuristic as well. So getting a little tired of that. But man, there's too many games to really narrow it down. Dishonored 2, I still haven't played Dishonored 1, but I like this. I want to get Dishonored 2, but I got to play the other one. And of course, Watch Dogs 2, right? This is the game that this is a game that Gary says he's interested in. He has a preview on the site for those that haven't seen it. I may be warming up a little bit to Watch Dogs because I did see some recent footage. The game looks good, so absolutely, definitely, want to check it out. I don't know if it's a game I would buy on day one because I feel like some of these games you don't have to rush. I think with the multiplayer games, there's always a desire to rush and get into it because especially if it's a game that requires you leveling up, because you don't want to jump into the game too late and then just get destroyed by everybody that's already at a higher level. So maybe there's a little pressure to get a multiplayer game day one, but the single player games, I don't really see a need to rush to get the game unless it's a game you want. But I don't know. We'll have to see. The last thing I will say, though, is a game that wasn't mentioned. I know Gary said Last Guardian in December. Nah, man. I'm getting Dead Rising 4 as soon as that comes out.
Yeah, I realized I forgot to say that.
Yeah, because I played a little bit of Dead Rising at E3. It was way too little for me to really get a feel of how the game is going to be. But overall, I like that Frank is back. I like the Christmas setting. So that's going to be an instant buy for me regardless, I think, on day one. But, yeah, I mean, there are too many games. Now, the question that I wanted to ask you guys is, do you believe that there are any games that are going to get overlooked? Because I think that's a guarantee. And which games do you think people are potentially going to miss out on because they want to get another game?
Yeah, you brought it up. Dishonored 2. I think there's generally people who forget that that's coming out, like, because it's overshadowed by so many other games. That game's coming out December, right?
Oh no, that game is
I
coming
think
out
November actually.
November?
I have it up November 11th. It's coming out before Final Fantasy even, so I have to beat that before Final Fantasy.
See,
and see, the thing about this is that 4 days later, Watch Dogs 2 is out.
Yep.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah,
and the Assassin's Creed collection. I don't know if that'll do well, but that's coming too.
That's the
that's the
Ezio collection.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean that's probably going to sell a little bit, but you know,
Yeah, it'll do fine.
Yeah, when's because the Assassin's Creed movie's coming out soon, isn't it?
that's it. That's
Isn't
coming out
that
in
this
December.
year, right?
Yes, it's out December, I think.
Something
Yeah.
like towards the end of the year, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
December. That's
Oh,
like
that'll be exciting.
one of those close to the holiday movies. They're not quite there, but around that time.
December 21st, according to IMDb.
Yeah, but I mean, out of all these games, the ones that are going on my wait list, now that Rich has said it, I think I'm gonna hold off on Mafia 3 for a while, and definitely Dishonored 2 because I need to play the first game, and Titanfall, I definitely ain't playing that this year. Call of Duty, I'm never buying. So yeah, yes, it's a few games that I'm just gonna put on my wait list, and I'll have to wait until there's like a sale or something or a discount. Also, is JJ, is Yakuza 6 out this December? Is it Japan
no, I
or
think it's next year. I don't think it's getting out in
January.
America this year. I think it might be out next year after it gets localized. I could be wrong though. You got to double check me on that.
so
Oh,
that's
no,
just
no,
that's
you're
just
right.
Japan?
Yeah, it's just Japan, I think, at one point, and then later on is when we get it here in the States. I remember because I got a press release about it that they were saying like they're obviously not taking review requests yet, but also that they haven't finished finalizing the localization for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That game is coming out in January. For sure, it's January. That's what I do.
For Japan or everywhere?
No, for here, for the U.S.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
So I guess Europe will be around the same time. I'm not 100% certain, but yeah, January for sure it'll be out by then.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and Dead Rising also, that's probably going to go on my wait list. I'm probably not going to get that day one, but I definitely do want to get it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean it totally makes sense that there's definitely going to be some stuff that does get skipped. I think as JJ has already said, everyone here has some type of interest in Final Fantasy 15, so I think the majority of us will pick that game up. I will say now though, I do plan on picking up Final Fantasy 15, but if I am disappointed with Final Fantasy 15, I'll be coming after Gary. I'll be coming after JJ. I'll be coming after everybody that Wesley as well, because I'm pretty sure he watched it as well. Yeah. But
I'll say something more outrageous than that. Like, I will unfriend people on Facebook if they don't buy this game.
okay, Well, that's kind
I'm
of.
not going to be like, Gary, I'm making house calls if that happens. Showing up, be like, yo, were you such and such that said this about FF15? Well, guess what? It's time.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, but yeah, it's a lot of games out. One game that I didn't mention earlier that I totally forgot to mention, Rise of the Tomb Raider, the 20th year celebration.
Right.
Anyone, let me go ahead and say this right now. Anyone that has a PlayStation 4 and they still have not picked up this game, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You need to pick this game up as soon as possible. Because I've been saying since last year that this is an excellent game on the Xbox One. Now that it's on PlayStation 4, this is a must buy. For anybody that's a Tomb Raider fan, I really don't understand how you could wait, wait a year and then not pick this up. You should pick this up immediately. But I did want to say that because I forgot to mention I did play that, as well this week. So that's a game that I would highly recommend people pick up if they haven't experienced when it came out last year on Xbox One.
Yep. 100% agree. Absolutely brilliant game.
See? Yeah, see? That's it. So let me see. Yeah.
Rich, don't forget that TF2 is probably going to have a season pass too, actually.
Oh, Titanfall 2?
Yeah.
Actually, I did some research on that last night, and I discovered that it doesn't have a season pass. The developers have decided that they're going to release all future content for free. Now, I wish they did that for Battlefield.
Yeah.
Because that right there, I feel like that is not really being advertised as much as it should. That they are doing that because that will possibly get someone to be like, okay, maybe I will pick up the game.
That actually just moved it up on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, see, they need to. They EA hasn't been vocal about that, but I did find that information the other day when they said, yeah, all content will be free. So I find that to be quite interesting. But we'll see if it's going to be enough for more people to buy the game. I mean, I just think that it was not really a smart move to release that game so close to all these other games. It's just like
Not at all.
they could have easily waited to give it some more attention, but we'll see how that turns out for them. So I think that may be pretty much it for this particular topic, unless you guys have any other things you want to address.
No, I don't have anything else on this topic, but I do have another topic completely. But when
Okay.
you guys are ready.
All right.
Yeah, I'm ready right now, son. Let's do
I'm
it.
ready.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So basically, I put out a post on our Patreon for people to ask questions. If they have any questions they want to ask and stuff. And we got one question from Marcus Collins, and he wants to ask all of us, if you had $400 to spend on games, which one would you prefer to buy? A PS4 Pro, a PSVR, or an Xbox One S bundle? So
Are we saying in general or in addition to what we have now?
I guess
Like what we would recommend?
I guess in general, I guess.
Man, that's a great question. I already
Yeah,
have
the
an answer.
choices are what again? It's a PS4 Pro, an Xbox One S bundle, and what was the other one?
PSVR, PS4 Pro, and Xbox One S bundle. So if you had
Okay.
$400, which one would you buy?
I would say
know.
PSVR for me. I would get a
Yeah.
PSVR.
Yeah, I would. I want to try that so badly. I think that'd be a really great purchase because you're still getting a solid console. Either way.
Yeah.
You're
All right,
getting the most new stuff from a PSVR. That's the thing that I think that most people would need to understand. If you're going through that point where you're gonna figure out what you want to purchase for the holiday season, the most new stuff or the new experience you're gonna get is from a PSVR. The other stuff is still your same consoles, but there isn't anything new about them other than the small changes to the console and the design themselves.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, so I'm curious what your answer is, Gary, but I'm gonna give my answer, and my answer is going to be somewhat controversial, so I'm gonna prepare everybody for it. If I had the $400 to spend, I would pick up that Gears Xbox One S. That console, I saw that console in person. Listen, that's a very beautifully designed console. It already has the 2 terabytes because again, I picked up the Xbox One at the launch edition, the day one edition rather. So it's a 500 gigabyte drive, which means I have to use an external drive. So obviously, if I get this bundle, I don't need to use that external because it's already a 2 terabyte drive in there. Plus, it's a lot smaller. It has a few benefits to using the Xbox One S over the regular Xbox. So I would, without a doubt, pick that up. I do agree. PlayStation VR offers a much more nuanced experience, but also I don't necessarily have a lot of space to use the PlayStation VR. So because I'm limited by my space, I have to stick to the Xbox One. And even with the Pro, I don't have a 4K TV yet. I mean, either way, I don't have a 4K TV for the Xbox One S either, but I do have a lot of games that I need storage for. The 2 terabyte drive beats the 1 terabyte drive in the Pro, so I would choose that bundle in a heartbeat. But that's my opinion. How about you, Gary?
It's a hard pick between the PSVR and the Xbox One S bundle. The PS4 Pro, I don't care about that much because I don't have a 4K TV right now either. I'm not in a rush to get one. I'm satisfied with my PC, so no rush to get that at all for me. But the PSVR and the Xbox One S is what I'm trying to decide between. Now the thing is with the PSVR is just I really just want to try all the games that are out for it right now. Like I would really love to just sit down and try them all out and see what it's like and everything. But I don't believe I would get that much long-term enjoyment from them from what's out at the moment. So that might be a waste of money if I bought that. So I'm thinking, Xbox One S, but then at the same time, I'm on PC and all the exclusives are coming out for PC anyway. But I guess, there's still some benefits to having it. I mean, I still can't get Halo, so that's one of them. I can't get Sunset Overdrive. There's a few things I still can't get on PC, so it might be worth it. And like Rich said, that Gears console does look pretty nice. So I might have to sway towards the Xbox One S bundle, to be honest, because PSVR, I mean, I think I would literally get it and just like play it for one day or something and never play it again. So yeah, that's my pick.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, getting the PSVR, that's an investment right now. That's like getting a console day one. You're probably not going to have a whole lot at once, but you'll have everything ready right when the new shit comes out.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it would be a waiting game, and it goes back to Sony's slogan, "Greatness awaits." That's always the case.
Yeah.
You always have to wait.
You better watch it with that slogan talk. People not gonna respond positively to that. But yeah, I do have the same mindset. I'm not saying I wouldn't get PlayStation VR. It's just that I need to see a little bit more in terms of the technology, the software, and I also need to upgrade my space because I don't have the space right now to really use the PlayStation VR. The space that they requested, space that they recommend that you have, I don't have that kind of setup right now. So obviously I would have to make a lot of changes in those regards. But it is what it is. But we'll see. That $400, that's a bit of that's definitely a fantasy because I ain't got that kind of money to just spend on a console right now. that definitely is a fantasy. So good question. Definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, guys, if you are one of our Patreon supporters, or in general, you can ask in the comments too on the website. But yeah, don't you can send us questions for us to answer on the show. And of course, you can even on Patreon, if you're on Patreon, you can even ask us questions for the Throwdown guys, and I'll pass it on to them as well if you want to. But most likely, if you're on our Patreon, you're visiting our website anyway, so you can just leave it in their comments as usual.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely leave us comments, and we'll answer them at the end of the show.
Absolutely, and I would invite for people who I do thank everyone for their comments last week. Obviously, there was a lot of confusion on some of the stuff that was discussed in terms of people thinking that we pulled a news story out of our ass and decided to talk about it. No, this was actual news stories about the Gravity Rush 2 delay last week. But that's why I thought it was funny, because the people that came off to defend, why didn't you bring up the Xbox? Why did you bring up Nintendo? No matter how you look at it, that makes them look like a fanboy of Sony, because you are there asking, well, why don't we talk about Microsoft? Well, we did talk about Microsoft. We talked about Gears is out, Forza is out. Nintendo, well, we did talk about Nintendo. We talked about this NX. When are we going to hear about the NX? So I thought that we did what we needed to do. But in any event, we do love the comments. We do love the interaction. So please feel free to tell us what your thoughts are on the topics that we discussed this week. And let us know which games you're looking forward to picking up this holiday season. So any final thoughts before we close out the show?
That's it from me.
Yep, same.
Okay,
Same.
so how about you guys give your final shout outs? How about you go first, Mr. Lugo?
Just shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody that leaves comments on the articles, the reviews, our posts, all that stuff. Shout out to the Patreon supporters, obviously. Thank you guys for allowing us to keep doing this cool stuff for all of you, making great content and stuff. Be on the lookout for more reviews, more posts throughout the week. A lot of big games coming out. We'll have a lot to say on some upcoming releases. And keep coming back. We'll keep bringing you guys some great content here on the Co-op and the rest of our shows.
Absolutely. How about you, Max? Any final shout outs?
Yeah, always happy to be here as always. It's a great time every time. Thanks everyone in the chat for always commenting. We seem to be getting more and more people in the chat every time, which is cool. We're always having some decent conversation in that. If interested, follow me on Twitter at WowI'mANerd and check out my gaming blog at wowi'manerd.net. I do a lot of support for my Koalition articles on there and for the site in general. And that's about it.
Sounds good. How about you, Gary?
Yeah, I got a bit of housekeeping to do here. So, firstly, shouts to all of the Patreon supporters. That's M. Collins, Sean Gority, Michael Hatcher, Stephen Ferron, Mauricio Aguilar, Himdil, and Alfonso Ortiz. Shouts to all you guys, and thanks for your support. And then, I also want to shout out some of the people that was in the chat today. So, shouts to Mark W. and Tamir Taborn. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. And Illustrated DEO. Shouts to those guys for joining us in the chat this week. And also I want to announce the winner of Mafia 3 before people start to ask questions and stuff. We did select, like, the winner was randomly selected, and it was Jessica Conyers. So shouts to you. You'll be getting Mafia 3. And then I also wanted to talk about a little Patreon exclusive show that me and JJ recorded on Friday, which was a new episode of Turn Based. And we basically talked about the Kingdom Hearts series in length. We spoke about different aspects of the series, like the games that are already out. We spoke about the character Roxas from Kingdom Hearts 2 and what his role is in the series and whether he'll have a big part in the next game and stuff. And we talked about some of the development work that's been going on with Kingdom Hearts and why it's been so delayed and whether they announced it too early. Like, we talked a lot of, politics regarding Kingdom Hearts, and it was definitely a good conversation. So definitely check that out. And Turn Based is the special Patreon podcast that we do that's all about role-playing games, and whether it's turn-based or real-time, no matter what the combat system, it's just all about RPGs in general. So definitely check that out on our Patreon. You can listen to that show for as little as $1. So yeah, go check that out. I'll work on getting up a sample on the website as well, so people can check it out before buying. But yeah, that's it from me.
Sounds good. I also would like to thank all of the Patreon supporters, as well as those that continue to listen to the podcast and visit the website. We do have a couple of things coming up. As we've already announced, the winner of the Mafia 3 giveaway. We also have someone that did win the Final Fantasy 15 giveaway as well. We are going to be announcing a December giveaway at some point. Now, looking at the December releases, I'm pretty sure what game I think is going to win that vote when we have it. But you can look out for that soon. We'll have a voting for that. But pretty much until then, we thank you all for your continued support. We will talk to you all next week.
Peace.